hardcore thing was, I think, for a younger crowd and a stupider crowd. But I was a stupider person, so it worked real good for me. And
this is it. Episode 3 of Kings of Punk.
Episode 3, we're talking the heavyweights, Poison Idea. It's a
Yeah.
joke because they're fat. Doing lots
This
of
is the
body shaming today.
This is episode 3. We're talking the legacy of Poison Idea.
P.I.
But first, real quick, I'm your host, Tyler Hammer here. And to my right, we have, we have Jacob Razor.
Jacob Razor here.
Razor. And then we got, to my left, Tim.
Hey.
So, do we need any news, anything we want to update the audience on?
Yeah. Something I wanted to say. Because I listened back to our first episode.
Yep. I could never do that.
I listened to most of our first episode. Two things I want to say. There was a comment I made about anarchists that sounded snarky, and I wanted to make it clear that I have nothing against anarchism or anarchists. I'm also a moron who doesn't know what I'm talking about, and I hope that comment wasn't interpreted the wrong way. If anyone who is working to make the world a better place, what the hell is going on right now? So I offer them my support. And
do I say anything about anarchists?
No.
Okay.
Everyone else was nice. And
I'll add this. As someone who leans more into the socialist realm in terms of my politics and dislikes anarchists, I still back anarchists, and I appreciate them 100% times more than a lot of other
no matter
leftists.
What kind of skepticism I might have about some of their practice or whatever, I also, again, I don't really know what I'm talking about, and my skepticism is solely that skepticism. The other thing I was going to say to recap from the last episode, one thing I said that I liked was I was talking about the nature of punk and the idea that it is effectively has always been sort of an imitation of something that never existed in the first place. It's the rote following of a formula, but the formula is rooted in nothing, in air, and that and I wish I built on this more. That the funny thing about that is, as that imitation gets more abstracted through each cycle of it, it might not necessarily get better, but it does get more authentic. And this is and thus you have punk as something that will always self-destruct and never leads anywhere, but simultaneously can never die, like some sort of zombie, if you will. And therein, to me, lies both the tragedy and the triumph of punk rock. I think it is always both for that exact reason, in that it is a recreation of an empty space forever and ever, and it turns more and more from an empty space into something real as time goes on. And that sort of undead quality that lies in that contradiction, I think thinking about that would be a perfect way to introduce an episode about Poison Idea of all bands, the most enduring and consistent of the 80s hardcore groups, and as well as the most nihilistic. So
yeah, that
was what I wanted to start with today. If anyone else wants to, we can move on from there.
I think you nailed it, honestly.
I got really nothing to add too much. Not really much has happened. And I don't think, I guess, the Leaking Head demo is recorded.
Yep.
So that's cool. Maybe at one point we will premiere a song on here.
That's a good idea. That's our band for those who aren't up on the Kings of Punk canon.
Lore.
Yeah, I play bass. Jake plays guitar. Lead guitar, we'll say, and then Tim drums.
I play the rock guitar.
Does in most of our bands. So that's just one of our. We have a bunch of other bands, but we won't really trying to suck our own dicks too much on here. But
just get that out of the way.
Do that off mic.
Kind of information.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Poison Idea. What is? Let me ask you this, guys. What is your first? How did you get introduced to Poison Idea?
I think it was during. I mean, I know it must have been during the process in which I got into most of the 80s US hardcore stuff. It started with just from me reading about punk on the internet. I drifted into Minor Threat, Black Flag. Excuse me.
Whoa, we'll get a bleep in there on that one.
Bad
Do you want me to
Brains.
bleep that?
I mean, it was
Don't bleep it. For fuck's sake, dude. That was a band back in the day, though. I remember that
Yes.
from high school, too. Black Flag was a band that did, I don't know, Black Flag songs, but he had a lisp, I think. Youth of Too Gay was a good one, too,
Yep.
that was
and
around.
Gayrilla Biscuits.
Gayrilla
too.
Biscuits, yeah. Anyway, so I got into those bands first, and then, of course, like many of my peers, I got the book American Hardcore from the Barnes & Noble at Pittsford Plaza, and from there learned about more 80s hardcore stuff. Prior to that, this would have been when I was in like 8th or 9th grade. Prior to that, I was into like the Sex Pistols and the Clash and like mod revival stuff, Eater, 70s punk kind of shit. Somewhere in there, I stumbled onto Poison Idea, and they were not one of the bands that grabbed me at first. I think initially they were maybe too fast or too aggro for me. I didn't get it yet. I think that sort of I had not yet confronted that horror within myself that I needed to confront in order to get Poison Idea. But I also remember that by 11th grade, I was telling all of my friends who were not familiar that Pick Your King was definitely the best hardcore record of all time. I don't know if I stand by that opinion, but at the time I felt very strongly about it. So I got pretty deep into them not long after that.
Yeah, how would it? Because for me, it was you, Tim. I believe it must have been you, or just us, our friend group, listening to them, and me like absorbing it from there and being like, "Oh shit, okay, this is." I remember listening to Kings of Punk, not Kings of Punk, Pick Your King, and being not stoked about it. I was like, this is weird. Like, this sounds weird.
Yeah,
It's
definitely
a lot.
very odd recording on that record. Yeah.
And I just being like, this is like, And I think I'm very happy that I have a brain that will allow me to revisit stuff multiple times. Because I feel like some people are just like, one time, 2 seconds in, this isn't good. I'm not going to listen to it ever again. Like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I oftentimes force myself to like, there's got to be something in there that makes me that I am somehow connecting to it. I just can't connect the dots currently. And so I think Pick Your King was the record probably in like 2011 or something like that, 2012. And it's just like, oh, this is fucking awesome, because it went right in line with that early 80s shit that a lot of us kind of liked. And then from there, it was like Feel the Darkness. It's like, this is the same band. Like, holy shit.
I think that was similar to my response, because Pick Your King especially, it is an overwhelming listen. Like, I remember hearing and just being like, this seems cool, but whatever this is, like, I am not yet ready to tackle it.
Yeah.
As for me, I think, like Jacob said, I think my first real... the first time I'd ever heard of them was, again, reading in the book American Hardcore. And the thing that really caught me, I think, was like I really liked the name. Like, I thought that was a really cool name. And I think it kind of,
It is a cool name. We'll get into their use of words later,
because it definitely goes into that whole thing with them, I think, because it's like a very almost kind of a weird poetic kind of name,
I'll probably expound on this later, but I think one of the exemplary things about that band is they were one of the only 80s hardcore bands to be even competent in terms of lyricism, frankly. I mean, not trying to diss anybody, but it's not that 70s punk, maybe a little different. 80s hardcore, much like heavy metal, I would say an Achilles heel of the genre is not like exceptional lyricism from most of those bands, even the ones I like.
No.
But Poison Idea stood out for me in that regard.
I feel I can relate very much to looking at the lyrics I've written for the new Hallucination Realized stuff, which is a band that me and Tim play in. I feel that I kind of connect to that early 80s hardcore in terms of lyrics, where it's very I think it's probably a little more deeper, and like I try and do a little more than that, but it's very personal, and it's kind of like not that, like, I don't put as much thought into it as I probably could. And I think Poison Idea just has some really fucking good lines and like good like general subjects that they like talk about that you don't really see too much. I think a song that I've been thinking about is Ballad for Pre-Op, and it's like, oh, I've never really heard about, like, I don't know a song off the top of my head that's from that era.
Well, I would even build on that and say they're distinct from a lot of those other bands in that you can't tell what every song's about. There is a lot of abstract language, which is not common in hardcore. Now, a big thing with lyricism, I think, is you generally want to err on the side of. Let me modify what I was going to say. A lot of those bands have abstract language, but you still know what they're talking about. Or if anything, there's abstract language, not enough visual, or maybe the other way around. There's abstract and visual language, and with writing lyrics or poetry, it's a lot of it is trying to strike a balance between the two. I think Poison Idea, more so than their contemporaries, succeeded in doing that, and they had like clever double entendres. You know, you say the weak will inherit the earth, who's going to pay the tax, stuff like that. Sort of that like Meatloaf little zingers that they throw in there, and that was very cool. But yeah, that balance of the abstract and the visual in their lyrics is good. But there's ambiguity too. That was like I remember talking this with my punk friends in high school. We were like, oh, this is crazy. Like the lyrics are like evoking this feeling, but it's not like Minor Threat where you're like, oh, they're talking about this guy or something, this guy they know who's like this. You know, it's not generally that straightforward. And that to me is a remarkable thing about this band.
Let's get into. Did you have anything to say, Tim?
I mean, I'll just. It was more about like what records I got into early, with them for off the bat. But I'll get into that when we go over the discography.
So we're gonna break the discography down. Is that the game plan here?
Let's. For those that don't know, Poison Idea is a hardcore punk band from Portland, Oregon. They formed in 1980. The original lineup consisted of Jerry A., Chris Tense, Glenn Estes, and Dean Johnson. Now, Chris Tense left, I believe, pretty shortly, within a year, and he was replaced with the most notable, probably the second most notable member of the band, Pig Champion. I believe his name is Robert. What's his name? His first name is Robert.
I can't remember.
I can't remember his first name.
No, his name is Tom Roberts.
Tom Roberts.
Is it Tom
that's
Roberts?
It. Actually, that's it. Yeah.
And then yes, Tom, you're right. Who has passed away in 2006. And they kind of Jerry A. and Pig Champion Tom Roberts are like the.
I think little correction. I think Tense was the drummer. I'm pretty sure.
No, he played guitar.
Is that
he played guitar, and then but he played bass later.
Oh, okay, that's gotcha.
So I would say beginning they had some like the demo and stuff like that, which is like a Darby Crash Rides Again.
Yeah,
I believe it's cool because on that record they're all listed as like Jerry Crash. And,
Crash was
Tom Crash and stuff like that, or Pig Crash. Which is kind of like a funny because they literally dropped it, I think, after that.
Yeah, the ghost of Darby Crash definitely hangs around this band. Darby Crash, there's another guy who was exceptional lyricism amongst his peers, and also an exemplar of the sort of self-destructive spirit we see in Poison Idea. The difference between the two. And I think you could maybe attribute this to some of the regional culture involved in addition to whatever their personal character may be. With the Germs and with Darby Crash, it's very much exhibitionism. I mean, Crash's whole thing was that he wanted to be like David Bowie. He was going to kill himself in 5 years. He made this plan in 1975 because of the song 5 Years by David Bowie, because he wanted to be a star. Poison Idea, clearly not interested in being stars, so they lived for a long time. Jerry A. is still alive, so it's a bit of that same existential emptiness that I think fueled Crash and drove him to do what he did. He sought to fill that empty space by becoming a legend, becoming a famous rock star, narcissist, cult leader, whatever. Poison Idea, the real power of this band, and I'm sure I'll make a similar point later, is that they rather looked at that emptiness and just kept looking at it for decades and just continued to confront it like a fish in water as a reality, as a force of nature. That emptiness at the core of their being that we all have. It's a difference of degree, not of kind. But I think there's definitely an affinity there between those two groups, and the public image they presented and sort of the ground that they were exploring and drawing their creativity from. So it's not at all surprising that they all took the name Crash on their first record.
Yeah.
And Jerry A kind of looks like him.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think I've ever listened to the demo.
There's a couple there's a song MIA on there that I
Did
like.
they cover Motorhead on it? Am I remember? No, that's
on War All the
that's
Time.
on War All the Time,
Yeah.
which that's a record I want to talk about as we get into this.
But not
they
too
put another
long.
cool cover on there.
That was in '82, I believe. Then in '83 they have the quintessential
Yeah, Pick
punk
Your
record,
King.
"Pick Your King," which is, I would categorize it as just like that is like hardcore punk to a T, like especially from the early. I would want in the
Classic
early.
7-inch.
It's like fast. It's aggressive. It's pretty simple. Like not superly complex or simple. There's like
Very memorable songs. All the
memorable
songs.
songs, very catchy, like,
Yeah.
but like I would say a big thing is it's like D beat influenced.
Yeah, not a lot of American
oh,
bands
yeah.
are doing that, and certainly not as well as Poison Idea, where you had Toxic
Yeah.
Reasons. That band is, well, that's almost a different British influence, and their whole gimmick was they had a British guy in the band. There were others. I mean, Crucifix is cool.
Yeah.
But Poison Idea really took the textures of UK punk, but also really international hardcore, broadly speaking, and made it their own, and sort of. I think Pig Champion, especially in terms of how he played guitar and wrote riffs. I think he wrote a lot of the riffs.
Yeah, I think Jerry and him wrote
They,
like most
they
of the songs.
synthesized a form of hardcore that is very American. You can hear that or feel that, but
That's maybe in the way that like it seems like it's a very tight performance and everybody's
it is,
on that
yeah.
record.
But the way that they synthesized all those influences, it turned it into something that to me is really beyond time and place, which is perhaps why this band has endured, is because they took that wide range of influences, and when you mix them all together, you get something that again is not as easily historicized or clearly of its time and place as some of their contemporaries would be, which is and in their lyrics you could say the same thing. They're not singing about Ronald Reagan, you know.
Yep. And I think I was listening to an interview. I listened to an interview with Jerry A. I believe it was Turned Out a Punk, which is a pretty good. I haven't listened to that podcast in a long time, but very good episode. If you want, I would recommend checking it out if you want to hear more from him. But he talked about how like Tom and I think specifically Tom bought tons of records. And he usually would buy like 2 copies of it. So that's how he got like, and I think they were like into punk. They were like into hardcore and that kind of stuff. And you don't see that being a quintessential part of a lot of those bands, like as far as I know, where it's like, yeah, we're in, like, not only are we making this shit, we are fucking fans of this stuff.
Yeah,
and we support it.
I feel like a lot of those bands sort of fell into one of 2 categories. Either on one hand, you had guys who were playing hardcore punk music but listened to a lot of other stuff. You know, Black Flag comes to mind. They were listening to like Dio and then
ZZ Top.
yeah,
stuff
and then
like
Rollins
that.
was into that weird German band whose name I can't pronounce, Einzerbotten or whatever the fuck.
Newbauten.
That band,
Einstürzen,
yeah.
Newbauten.
Oh, yeah.
And that,
Yep.
so you have bands like
band's
that,
cool.
and then you have the sort of second tier bands from fucking LA or wherever they came from, where they're just like, yeah, I like GBH and Black Flag, and like they listen to like a couple big punk bands. Poison Idea were maybe in some ways the existential predecessors of people like us, in that they took hardcore and punk seriously and obsessively
Yeah.
in a way that was not normal back then, because this was before the internet too. Like, it was easy for me to go listen to fucking whatever hardcore 7-inch
Literally
from Yugoslavia or some shit.
Yeah,
these
literally
guys
whatever.
made it their business to consume all of that stuff and then synthesize it into this new sort of brew that they had.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, it fucking, you hear it, and I think you can hear it in their music and their influence.
Yeah.
They have, like, so many different, like, I mean, it's all, like, coming from, like, it's all ending up at, like, the same place.
You
but,
have to
like,
have an ear for it to see where it's coming from.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I would also note just right off the bat, maybe I should have mentioned this later, but because it becomes more obvious you go on, I think Pig Champion is my favorite hardcore guitarist. Not the flashiest one, but the best one.
No.
I
Yeah.
as a guitar player, I pride myself on my rhythm playing more so than my lead playing. And his leads are great, but he really stands out as a rhythm guitarist.
You don't think he does leads like
No, he
really
does them
at
more
all?
later.
I think
No, 'cause
it's
that
really
was-
like his riffing is like
'Cause
that is like
vegetable,
that's completely
like dudes like
top-notch.
Vegetable and stuff like that. They were like the guys that like shredded.
Okay, yeah.
He was not. I don't think he was ever the lead shredder.
But his rhythm style just has so much
Yes.
texture and character
Oh, yeah.
to it. I mean, this is. I guess I'll. I already touched on this point, so I guess I'll get it out here because this is the first record. This is their sort of statement of intent. Poison Idea, more so than any other hardcore band I can think of, and really almost any band I can think of off the top of my head. It is the sound of what it feels like when you are confronted by that emptiness at the core of your being, just like the nihilism that we all have to work through or stay with or ignore or whatever you have to do with it, that empty space that's at your center. I think the combination of Jerry A's vocals and Pig's guitar playing really nails that effect, because on one hand, Jerry A has just this tremendous, like, bilious bellow of fucking, like, cry of, like, desperation and anger that speaks to one way that sort of makes you feel, and one way you can engage with that, just that, like, almost like you're trying to deny it just with sheer ferocity. And then Pig Champion's guitar playing, I would say more so on Pick Your King than any of the other records, and we can get into how their sound evolved in a moment. But on that record especially, the texture of his playing and the tension of the riffs, to me, it conveys the panic you feel when you're confronted with that emptiness.
Yeah.
Because when you get a look at that and you're not expecting it or you haven't seen it before, it hits your fight or flight response. You're like, something's fucking wrong and I need to make it right. And his riffs they're so tense sounding because they're not complicated, but he jumps around the fretboard a nice amount.
Yeah.
He crams a lot of power chords into short little 40-second songs, and that there's like a very muscular tension to it. It's like it has some fucking sinew on it, and that is that fight or flight that comes over you when you're stuck in that empty space.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that's how you're feeling is how Pig's guitar sounds, and then the way you want to respond, that's what Jerry A sounds like.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, and that is that particular record, I think, really calls that to mind for me. And as we move through the discography, I'll those responses develop in their discography the same way that it develops as you get older and you keep having to do that.
Yeah.
It also, another thing I'd say about Pick Your King, it really is like one long hardcore song.
Yes.
It's like a hardcore fucking
I remember
epic.
Trevor saying that,
Yes,
and I was just
yeah.
like, holy shit, yeah, you're fucking right.
Yeah,
I mean, every song really pretty much just leads right into the next one.
100%, yeah. And a lot of records
Yeah.
back then were not necessarily like that.
Well, just cool for like, yeah, I mean, just like a 7-inch to be, like here's like a 10-minute blast. Because it's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
But that's why like every song is so memorable, I think, because it's just like, bang, 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 like.
Yeah, there's not a moment where it kind of like lets up, where it's like, all right, here's the slow
closest thing I think is like maybe the intro to I Hate Reggae.
one. Yes.
And like that's it.
That's as close as they get to being funny too. Although this was kind of a funny
Yeah.
band, they had little zingers here and there.
Which is, I mean, it's funny because I remember, hearing that song, when I was like a teenager, being like, yeah, reggae's dumb, and now it's like, oh, actually, there's some reggae songs I like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really just super visceral and just like that's what I want to hear in like punk, like for like that kind of stuff is just ripping, just it almost can't it's not stopping, like there's not a like from the first song into the second song, like the only difference between them is just a pick slide, and it's just like it doesn't stop, and I want like everything to be like that. And I to me that also was like a huge thing where it's like this obviously wasn't the first time I like noticed it, but it's like punk doesn't have to be like the easiest shit in the world where it's like 3 chords and that's it, like the Ramones kind of stuff. It's like this is like you said, he's going all over the fretboard, not obviously not
frantic.
In like a metal way,
frantic, but not in the way that Metallica has got anything on.
It's always going to come back to Metallica.
Yeah, that's
unfortunately it kind of seems that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really powerful songwriting, I think, on there, even if it is fairly rudimentary, like compared to like some of their other stuff, and like
doesn't sound easy to play though.
It doesn't sound, but
I mean, we literally learned how to do fucking
Cult Band in like
and it's
5
like,
minutes. Yeah,
I mean, it took 5 minutes, but at the same time, it's like
we're really good at.
There's
playing.
a decent amount of there's a decent amount of cool stuff going there.
I think at this point we've all been playing our shit for
a decade at least.
At least, I mean, I'm a little short on that, I think. But
I started playing guitar when I was like 12, I think. But I didn't take it seriously until I started Punk Band. But yeah, in terms of the lyrics on that record, it is one of the things this band is known for is sort of tackling that sort of deep personal nihilism that I discussed earlier. To that point, I always liked. This is a classic PI line in Pure Hate when he said, "Buried in my palms a nail, burning in my soul's a hell." That's very clever. We have the intertwined biblical imagery with the, that I thought was sharp. But there's some political content on there too. You got it's an action talking about struggling country, police state cry, and I've always a little bit had mixed feelings about that because it's almost like. I don't need more, but I remember when I was younger, I was like, well, this kind of muddies the focus of the band. I like this sort of personal stuff more, but as I've gotten older, I'm like, no, like, especially now that I'm not a teenager, I'm like, no, like, that's the whole thing. Maybe Pig's music speaks to the personal individual pain more, and then Jerry Ace saying these lyrics that are like, well, everything's bad in here, but everything out there is really bad too. And as he says in the lyrics on that record, like, you got to fight against that too. Like, no matter how fucked up you are, like, there's nothing better for you out there. So, like, if there's anything that can keep you going, it's you just rage against the dying of the light, man. You got to try to break free or whatever the fuck he says in that song.
I think, let's go to the year after they have the
Record
EP,
Collectors, right?
Record Collectors are
Pretentious
assholes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Now, I was going to say, I think that was really the first record I listened to by them, and that was really like, oh, this is...
You know what the first one I heard was now? I remember it, actually. I had downloaded off of Soulseek or whatever, the, like, Tang Records collection of Poison Idea stuff, and the first song on it was the Learning to Scream 7-inch. I don't even know if Pig Champion's on that record.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah,
really?
I haven't heard
Dude, that song
no.
Learning to Scream is great. I think it's from like way later, but that's a really good song. But yeah, I think some of the Record Collectors stuff was on there too. Record Collectors is one of their most depressing sounding records. I think it's something the production sounds like they're playing in a fucking dungeon. Like it's very, very dank sounding, but not in like the weed way.
I love the recording on that. Like
it's
just the drums sound really I don't know how to describe it, but it has like a very weird.
There's reverb all over it.
Yeah,
like
very 80s.
Like it's very
in that
airy,
regard.
like
it's
in a way.
80s and dingy sounding. Yeah,
but it's not like I wouldn't say it's like light.
No, not at all.
It's like because I listen to that album in my car while I'm driving to work a lot, and
that's probably a great.
Sounds rainy.
Yeah,
Sounds like it's overcast out.
I haven't listened to it in a while, so I'm trying to remember how it kind of sounds.
The kick drum sounds really good.
I don't know if this is me sort of retconning this because we now know the discography of the band, but it does come off like a transitional record. Like you can hear very much that they're switching over to the. It'll become the signature sound of Kings of Punk, which is my favorite record of theirs. We'll get to that.
I would say that the beginning of what's his first song? AA.
Yeah.
AA, yes.
That kind of reminds me of how Lifestyles is. I think, or maybe not Lifestyles, but it does have that same feel. Like that carries forward into Kings of Punk very easy, very like succinctly. Like they clearly have like a proper evolution. As opposed to
right, they didn't just write like "Pick Your King" Part 2.
Yeah,
which
no,
would
they
have
didn't
been
do that.
Kinda,
and they didn't do like, all right, here's our rock record now, or here's our metal record. And I think a big thing that we will probably talk about a lot, or not a lot, but like, is that like Poison Idea has like an enduring legacy because they were one of the few '80s hardcore bands that started in the '80s, like the earliest you could probably be in the '80s, literally 1980, and continued on through the early '90s, and like don't suck. Like, how many bands did that? Like,
not a lot.
Well, that was why I introduced them the way I did today. It's the punk as a lurching zombie archetype happening, but they kept getting better. It's kind of miraculous. While we're on record collectors, before we move on to something else, I was going to pick apart some lyrics from it a little bit.
Talking to your mic.
Lyrics from record collectors. There's a song, Don't Like It Here. These brief lyrics, I'll read them. Almost got what I wanted, almost got what I needed. Tried to get it from you, you act so conceited. So hey mom, come here, 'cause I really like it there. I like to feel like a man, piss and shit when I can. Pride on my shoulder with a chip on the other. Target excites. I got both my hands on her thighs. Now, reflexively, these are unsettling lyrics because it's like fucking and pissing and shitting and mom. And so right off the bat, you have a sort of ambiguously gross impression you get from this song, which I love. It's like, I don't know, like a more scatological David Lynch vibe. And in that same vein, I mean, hey mom, come here, because I really like it there. This is an allusion to me to going back to the womb, which this whole band is like a cry against the misery of existence, and their whole lives was trying to drown that with drugs and alcohol, etc. And ultimately, when you do that, when you numb yourself in that way, trying to escape that existence, what you're really trying to do, and perhaps this is what you're trying to do when you're fucking too, is you want to go back to the womb because it's not like it there.
Yeah.
Come over here, mom, or whatever lady, mom, because I like it there. Because when I was there, it wasn't like this.
Thanks.
And now that I'm here, it is like this.
To quote a line from Feel the Darkness, thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. I'll see you in hell.
Yes, exactly. Because it's their fucking fault that you're here and you feel like this.
That's the thing is, like, you should be parents, this a little tangent, parents being like, you should be lucky, And it's like, no, I'd rather just not know I existed in the first place.
Yeah, I want to be back in there.
I can't
it was
be
nice
mad.
in there.
I can't be mad about not existing if I never knew I existed. So it's like, well, it's like, who gives a shit?
And when you know you exist, how could you be anything but mad?
Because it's like, I know eventually I'm not going to exist. And it's like, that sucks. So let's move on to Kings of Punk. I was listening to Kings of Punk earlier today. And that is, like, I think it's really them stepping up. There's a reason why we took our name of our podcast from that.
Well, that record, I think, it really is like the perfect fusion of like, like the, super aggressive, in your face hardcore punk.
This is my favorite record of theirs.
Yeah.
I think
Feel the Darkness for me is still my favorite, but I think it's because like that is truly when they're like they are going 100 miles an hour. They're like on fucking top of the world, I think. But I think Kings of Punk, if you didn't have Kings of Punk, you wouldn't have Feel the Darkness.
I would say my big selling point for me on this record, I love the production. I think it's fucking
super
flawless.
heavy.
It's super heavy.
It's good. The only thing I don't like is the bass sound.
Oh, like that kind of weird, like kind of chonk.
It's a little treble-y.
It's just a little too trebly, a little too like floppy kind of sounding.
Like,
but like
it's not really like there's not like low end to it.
yeah,
which,
I'm not mad at it.
I think it works for this record, but that's a subjective thing. I mean, the opening to Lifestyles. I mean, it's perfect. Lifestyles is like the best opening track on a hardcore
really
record
good
of all time.
Love the drum performance on that record too by I believe Dean Johnson. That's the drummer, right? On that record,
on that record, it is.
That was the last record he was on, I think.
I believe so because
the Hippie Slayer was on.
Hippie Slayer. It's so just to make sure everyone knows.
Or Slayer Hippie,
the
right?
Slayer Hippie.
Okay.
I see people saying the Hippie Slayer, and you would think that kind of makes more sense. No.
Wait, he played on that record?
No, I don't think
he was on.
played.
His
he was
first
on
one was War all the time.
Yeah.
But yes, it is the Slayer Hippie. R.I.P. The Slayer Hippie, who died this year, which fucking sucks.
Yeah, rest in peace.
It sounded like he had actually turned his life around.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, he got busted like robbing pharmacies for
yeah.
fucking Oxy, right? I remember when that happened.
So in the 2000s or something.
Yeah, these guys were the real
But I mean,
deal.
I read when he was in prison, he started doing like a music program for prisoners too.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's sad that he died.
I'm going to eat an egg roll real quick, but you guys keep talking about Kings of Punk.
Yeah. Like I said, production is flawless. Every riff is good. His guitar sounds great. Lifestyle's perfect opener. I'll come back to that song
Definitely
in a second.
some of my favorite PI songs. Death Wish Kids.
Great song.
This Short Fuse. Love that song.
Yeah,
That song's
Jerry's
really
vocal
good.
performance too. The bellowing sound that I alluded to earlier. That on Kings of Punk on Pick Your King almost isn't there yet. Like his vocals on that are less so the vocals I think of when I think of Poison Idea. I think of how he sounds on Kings of Punk. I mean, it's low, it's bellowing, it's fucking got like that sort of pained, like throaty sound, but like not in a screechy way. It's like a guttural sound, not like death metal, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that to me, like that I think his vocal performance on Feel the Darkness probably is better, but I mean to me, Kings of Punk, like that's what the soul of this band really sounds like on some level. And you can hear the musical evolution towards Feel the Darkness on it because they are starting to do the rock and roll stuff, and they're pulling it off. It doesn't come off like a fucking gimmick or like, oh, we're trying to do something different. It comes off like a perfectly natural evolution of what they were doing before because the spiritual core of the band. It's like you're hearing them evolve as people organically. Because if you are that kind of person, if you've confronted the horror and you've decided you're just gonna make yourself numb to it however you can, but you're for some reason not going to die, I mean that's rock and roll. That's fucking Jerry Lee Lewis. That's Motorhead. Like you as you persist and you continue to just not die for some reason, like your music will evolve somewhat. And I think as you become that sort of diehard, and I haven't thought this through enough to explain why this is, but the most sensible place for you to go if you're a punk musician and you're that kind of person is not to go forward, because you can't go forward because you're not that kind of person. You have to go back before punk and go to fucking rock and roll, to go to fucking Ted Nugent, etc. And if you're not a real diehard, if you're a loser, which is different, then you're going to do that. It's going to suck. In the case of these guys, it didn't suck. They pulled it off perfectly because, again, the synthesis was organic. It came from below. It's not like other, like the Boston bands or whatever, where they tried to impose hard rock onto their band, and it came off like something they were doing to make money.
It wasn't natural. They didn't know how to. They didn't know how to synthesize it correctly.
Yeah, this it sounds like it just happened, and frankly, it. Like all great things, it was like that was always going to happen with Poison Idea.
Some bands can do that. I think even though I'm not a huge fan of them, Carcass are really a really good example of like going from gore grind, that like dirty gore grind shit, to like death metal and doing it very well. Even from the second album, they can definitely this is getting on that death metal sound. And then the third album, Necroticism, say, "Ooh, this is straight up death metal." And then
on that third one they kind of added more like hooks and
all right, they're getting this is it's like, oh man, this is really like they're really
and
fucking
then
stepping up the game.
Heartwork,
Full
blown, almost like a. I don't want to say poppy, but I mean
they're like let's add a lot of melody.
It's very accessible, that's for sure.
Again, I had it 2 steps ahead of the fucking game at all times. Really changing everything. Because like Slaughter of the Soul didn't come out till '95. Hardware came out in '83. So
and it's funny you mention that because I feel like all those Swedish death metal bands, if you think about it, Hardwork is probably that's like the record that they were probably all listening to and fucking. I mean, I don't want to say. I mean, I guess I could say ripping off, but
taking
it
influence
had
from,
a big influence for sure in that region. Yeah,
I would say like.
But I mean,
In Flames first release didn't come out until 1994, I think. So
we should save
I mean?
this for another episode.
But my point is,
I haven't listened to any of the records you're talking about.
My point is, some bands can change styles and it becomes an evolution, and it feels it feels natural. And Poison Idea is one of those bands, one of the few bands in punk to do it where it doesn't feel like, even if a band changes styles and it sounds good. Like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, a band that went from like punk to this or X to X.
How about TSOL?
I don't like TSOL, so
I love Beneath the Shadows.
Okay, let's. So
I mean,
do you think they
the
did a good
TSOL
job?
The TSOL hard rock stuff is bad, but
I was referring to Beneath the Shadows.
Beneath the Shadows, I love. But we can't get into
a lot of
TSOL.
people
a
don't
whole
like
other
that,
episode.
I can talk about TSOL all fucking day.
But the band. Is there a band that went from like a style to another style, and it sounds different, and it's but like the evolution is natural, but it's still good.
You could almost make a case for TSOL, but as someone who knows the biography of the band, I would say it was somewhat natural because they were insane people.
Okay.
I don't think they were like, and with this record, we're going to become, huge star. Yeah, absolutely
No,
not.
I think they were probably doing a bunch of drugs and listening to what the Damned were doing and trying to sound like them.
Yeah.
So coupled with the points we made about their sort of singular ability to stay the same while evolving, I'm going to pick apart a little bit of these lyrics of Poison Idea and sum up what this record is in the light of that. This is Lifestyles, part of it. I go full speed, don't look back, do what I feel and live how I want. Hide in your big warm house, lock the door and dream of more. They say the meek will inherit the earth, but who's going to pay the tax? Begging, scraping, sucking my welfare check. Bitching about Big Brother while Big Sister scratches my back. Hit and miss lifestyle, down on what it's up to be. Is this the one for me? I play a rule breaker's game. This game is called life. It's not as easy as a cut of the cards or a twist of the knife. Now, this for me sums up what this record is all about, because as the name implies, this is when they established that they were indeed the kings of punk. Keep in mind, this is 86, so punk was not what it was by this point. A lot of people had dropped out, moved on, etc. There were younger people taking up the mantle, but regardless, these were OGs. And I think in these lyrics you hear them becoming truly the kings of punk, because it's, at one hand, they're confronting how pathetic and fucked up their lives are, but at the same time, they are entirely strident about it. Big Sister is scratching their neck. The welfare checks are still coming in, and they are still, as much as they've confronted the reality of being fat losers or whatever, they are still strident enough to beg the question of, you and your big warm house, you dream of more. Like, are you better than me? Like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Do you think so? If so, why? You probably don't have a fucking answer. So that is words of a true king, in my opinion. Yeah. So this record solidifies it. I mean, they called it Kings of Punk for a reason. I don't think they would call it that if they didn't mean it, and they were 100% correct.
And going back on what you just said there with the... I mean, I feel like that maybe I don't know, maybe just me, but I feel like I find them to be very relatable. A Poison Idea.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Like coming from that, maybe more nihilistic.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a king yet. I am not where they are yet. I have a lot of insecurities to confront before I can do that, but it's inspirational in a way.
I think that kind of like mentality is something, or like what they're going through to something is relatable, because like I can't relate to, here's a song about Ronald Reagan. I don't know, I'm doing a British accent. Here's a song about Ronald Reagan. About Ronald Reagan. Or here's a song about Thatcher. It's
Maggie.
like, I don't fucking care about Ronald Reagan. Also, if you think about it, you didn't do anything about Ronald Reagan.
Yes,
you said it. You said, you thought he's bad, and that's it. That's why I think we touched about it in the first episode, is that like really punk, who gives it doesn't matter if you actually did anything. It only mattered that you said something about it, and that's, I think, the downfall, in my opinion, a big downfall of like the overarching idea of punk, is that like it's supposed to be political and like it's about action, when like really it's not.
Well, I'll raise you one is now punk isn't doing that. It's social media is doing that.
Yeah.
You
So social
have
media
to say
is
something. You have to raise awareness and hold people accountable, and all you're doing is making fucking posts. At least these motherfuckers made. At least Crass made fucking records.
Yes, that's
like
true.
you're making
Some
a fucking
killer
post.
Tunes,
Crass were doing like more radical shit than that, I think, to an extent. Like,
Yeah,
like
no,
the
I don't want to
Living
be unfair
Situation.
to them.
I don't know
You're
too much.
You're talking
about
more about
But
like
yeah.
dipshit American bands, but regardless, they made a fucking record. They didn't just make a post.
To quote,
We're talking about a bunch
like-
of guys who ate too much.
yeah, like Paul. I was gonna be like Paul Joseph Watson, be like, social media is the new punk rock, because he was like, conservatism is the new punk. And it's like, fuck you, you fucking loser. I'm gonna beat you up.
The really grim thing is that's kind of true. Social media is the new punk rock.
Yeah, but it's also
That's gonna take.
but it's
us
also
under the bed.
not.
Yeah, but punk is also not punk.
Yeah, nothing's punk.
I mean, this is the year 2020, so
yeah, you know what's punk?
everything
Poison
is
Idea.
fucking backwards.
Yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
what like Pig Champion would think about us doing a podcast.
Yeah.
he would probably be one of the few punk figures who would kind of get this, because he was
hope
such
so.
an obsessive about this kind of stuff.
I feel like maybe he would even just be glad like people are.
I hope I got it right.
analyzing.
He might just think I was a fucking nerd. I
Yeah.
don't. He'd be
It's
right.
Probably
so.
that. I hope that.
Yeah.
And so next album we have a slight lineup change. I believe this is 87. We get the Slayer hippie on drums, and he is 16 or 17 years old when he fucking joined.
The only svelte member of this band. He was the
Yeah.
skinny guy, right?
Well, actually,
No,
no, because
actually, he
that Dean
wasn't.
Johnson, and I think that Chris Tens too. Those guys are pretty skinny.
Who I remember on Feel the Darkness there was because I got one with the picture sleeve. It had there was one skinny motherfucker with
That was
like
the bass player,
with a
I
missing
believe.
tooth. Oh, okay, never mind.
That was Tense. Was that it? I think at that point.
Let me let me go to the Discogs page, because that will. Oh, you know what? Fuck Discogs. I can't even use that shit anymore. It's like you got to sign in. It's like
Fuck Discogs.
suck my
What?
dick.
All my homies.
Yeah,
hate
it's like makes
Discogs.
you sign in to Discogs just to look up something on Discogs. I don't know if that's new. Maybe my phone is a virus, but it's like I don't get it. But see, I'd say War All the Time is kind of like maybe a teeny bit of a step down from Kings of Punk.
I would say so.
I think so.
Um,
Yeah.
But at the same time, like ushering in like some other kind of like
More metal crossover.
more metal
I think,
there, because
for
they cover
sure on that one.
Motorhead.
They cover
have more
Motorhead.
double bass parts, and then the last song. What's the last song?
Marked for
for
Life.
Life.
Marked
That's
for
my
Life.
favorite Poison Idea
See,
song.
it's funny
I will
'cause
talk about it in a second.
That is an older song,
Yes, there's a live video from
like 82 or 83.
From 82 or 83, and they're playing the intro, and Jerry E says this song's about when you start something and you can't finish it.
Yeah.
Which we can pick apart that statement in a second. I'm going to do the lyrics for this one after.
Those lyrics
you-
are.
these
This
two.
song is what I think is one of my favorite Poison Idea songs.
This might be my favorite, honestly.
And I would say this is definitely still a really good one. I enjoy it. I like shit. Now I just gotta feel like I have to look at the albums, because I can't always remember off the top of my head all these fucking. They have.
It's like this one, and then some
A lot of
EPs, and then
material.
Feel the Darkness, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, where they got it's Ian McKay after this. I
No,
think?
that isn't actually an album from
Oh,
theirs.
that's like
a
a
boot.
comp.
That's
It's
a
like
bootleg.
Two singles. Oh, okay. All right.
It's I believe Ian MacKaye is a straight edge.
It's Filthkick and then like a single. I think.
Yeah.
That's what it is put together.
Filthkick is. I'll say that's
that might be my favorite by them, honestly.
one of my favorites. Definitely one of my favorite like of the
That
later
song,
stuff.
Drug Revival. I mean, I think that might be my favorite song.
I'll be honest, I have
by
not
them.
listened to that one in a while. I would have to revisit it.
It's super. That 7-inch is like that is literally like a perfect 7-inch on
And
top
that-
of Kings of Punk.
Is that song Getting the Fear on that too? Because
remember
that's
that
not
song.
okay.
It's
That's a
Hangover,
really good
Heart
one,
Attack,
too.
Drug Revival, Battle of a Pre-Op,
Oh, and
New Rose.
That's what it is. Okay.
Which I think it's very funny that it's like Hangover, Heart Attack, Drug Revival, Battle of a Pre-Op, New Rose. I think each song kind of like has a connection.
Or each side is
Each
like,
side is a connection to the two songs. There's like a little bit of a connection there. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, these guys were not dumb. You can tell by the lyrics.
They're very.
It just to refine a point I made earlier about their lyrics, and I'm going to read some more of them in a second. It'll make more sense. They really did do a good job of avoiding abstract language like you, to, that, etc. Because that stuff isn't great for lyrics because it doesn't conjure anything up in your mind. They use it a little bit, but I think the most compelling lyrics from any band, they're good at this. Darby Crash was good at it. Roz Williams was great at it. Is when you can use a ton of visual language, but the meaning is still ambiguous. You could even say something similar about Jim Morrison from The Doors. When you're able to use a wealth of visual language that conjures up images in one's mind, but the exact meaning or what's being referred to is not entirely clear.
Yeah.
Those are the lyrics that will stay in your mind, and you will think about them obsessively, in my experience.
I definitely, and I think that we can get right into probably their biggest record.
Can I do one more thing on
Sure.
on War All the Time? So the Marked for Life lyrics are as follows: In my dream of death, you were there, the perfect crime. Take my final breath, the noose pulls tight, a perfect fit. Swallow me up with your mistrust. There's a monster in my mirror. Drags me through hell and misery, but when I smash that mirror, it sets me free. This is their best lyrics, I think, in my opinion, or my personal favorite. Depending on where you're at in your life, you could read this as being about a woman. You could do that, but ultimately I think he is talking about himself. And
Yeah.
I think this really summarizes the spiritual orientation of this band perfectly.
I think just hearing that kind of reminds me of how I've been writing my lyrics, where it's like very personal, but like not just being like, I got a problem, this is it. It's like using
keep it ambiguous,
imagery,
yeah.
using like certain things, and like, but it's still personal. Like I'm not like trying to move it, or not to just make this about me, but like I relate super like heavily with all these lyrics because they're relatable. Like, and I think
so the ambiguity is valuable in that regard.
I think I think that's what makes it so still relevant in 2020. And I think a super relevant record in 2020 is Feel the Darkness.
Yeah. I mean, this is a band beyond time and place, like I said.
Yeah.
And I think that Marked for Life song, of course, they play that, and then it ends with a rockin', sort of triumphant sounding guitar riff. Feel the Darkness is truly their biggest triumph as a record. It has that vibe. And I think, again, triumph and tragedy, that's the entirety of that's the contradiction of punk rock in action. And this band exemplifies that, and in the sound of Feel the Darkness and in that visual of Jerry A smashing the mirror and being set free, that is where the triumph manifests itself after all this tragedy has been fully confronted and processed. In that smashing of the mirror, in that deliberate and strident destruction of the self-destruction, not just in the sense of drinking a lot, but literally the shattering of that illusion of the ego that we're also chained up in constantly and just ties us up in knots. Therein, that's the wellspring from which all the badass kick-ass guitar riffs spring forth from. And that brings us to Feel the Darkness. So why don't you lead us into that one?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Jesus
What was the
Christ.
last thing?
we're gonna do fucking Feel the Darkness.
Yeah.
People here.
So Feel the Darkness.
Feel the Darkness thing.
Feel the fucking darkness. As I was saying, it is a relevant record in 2020, and I think the lyrics you can still think about. I think immediately what comes up to mind are two songs, if we're talking broader ideas, and that is The Badge, which talks about police brutality.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, this is still a fucking issue.
Great
still a
anti-cop
thing.
song. Second only to Dick's Hate the Police, in my opinion.
And I mean, actually going back to the Filthkick record, like with the Ballad of a Pre-Op,
Ballad
too,
of a Pre-Op.
it's like, that song is like super relevant today,
Yeah.
you know?
Dude, in
And
Ballad
that
of a
song was
Pre-Op,
written fucking like 30 years ago.
when he
you
says
know?
when he says you're not losing a son, you're gaining a daughter, it's like, damn, like that's like such a weird, like,
Not something you expect Jerry
not
A
something
to
you,
confront.
yeah,
No, absolutely
and it's
not.
it's cool because the Slayer hippie says on like an interview he's like, yeah, I wanted to get away from the metal guys because they were like so like uptight and like homophobic and racist and stuff like that, and like I think Jerry says like, yeah, it's just like we're all like kind of like I don't think he coined people freaks, but it's just like, yeah, we're all just different. We're like trying to be different and be open-minded. And it's like, I think you can tell that with their lyrics. And another song that I think is really relevant today is Gone for Good, which talks about like, I think climate change to an extent. I believe it is climate change because it's like Gone for Good. Let me look up the lyrics real quick. But I think that is talking about like the environmentalism and global warming and stuff like that. What's gone for good won't return. It's gone for good. Like I think that's about like oil and stuff like that.
Another very relevant song is the last one, Discontent. That's on a 7-inch. Oh,
I believe.
Yeah.
Because they have a 7-inch called Discontent.
I guess depending on every version I heard of Feel the Darkness had that song on.
I think Feel the Darkness is like the last song.
That's the last song, yeah.
All I'll say about the lyrics on this record is this is the only fucking punk band in the world that could have the line "groovin' on the power" in a fucking song and have me not bat a fucking eye on it.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely Poison Idea. You are grooving on the power. I am grooving with you to the best of my abilities. I am not yet a king of punk, working on it, but I will groove as much as I have the capacity to do so because somehow, through some miracle, they're able to deliver that line, grooving on the power, convincingly
What song is
in a
that
punk
from?
song.
That's Just to Get Away.
Oh yeah.
No looking back, grooving on the power.
Okay. I sometimes don't hear lyrics right, and I don't know what they say because
And also, it's hard to believe that they would put that in a punk song, but they did.
Some more good lyrics from this record. That song "Deep Sleep" is that has really good lyrics about like just sleeping.
I was gonna say probably another one of my favorite Poison Idea songs that I can listen to again and again. It's Taken by Surprise. Of all the torment I've been through, I never knew hell till I met you. Your imperious aura, your needs understood. You wouldn't tell me the truth if you could.
Yes.
But in the back room, our garden of delight, cut through the bar just like a fist fight. Like,
oosh, ouch.
He says it like it's
ouch, dude. That hurts, motherfucker. Don't do that to me.
I feel like it's. I don't know what exactly he's talking about.
Oh, I do.
Like, is he talking about a
man.
woman?
Ouch.
Is he talking about like? But at the same time, it's like he uses language that like we can all understand. It's not like super exaggerated. It's like cut through the bar just like a fist fight. I can picture that.
He's like
you know?
a bluesman. Yeah, I think I won't get into what I get out of those lyrics, but ouch, that got me, dude. Fuck me. But no, and he leans into that sort of Roadhouse blues imagery on this record a bit, and this record marks like a big musical evolution for them. Like, this is the rock star fucking record from them, right?
Yeah.
Like,
this is epic.
They got
like, fucking...
yes, they got this. This is like grown up punk, but not in a bad way. You've got the guys shredding on fucking guitar, just ripping it up, just victoriously dick swinging fucking guitar solos, and the blues influence is huge on this. And again, it's like you wouldn't have seen it coming, but like, of course Poison Idea was going to get bluesy.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking the crossroads is Poison Idea.
They
made a
like,
deal with the fucking devil so they can make punk records.
What's the I forgot what the song. I forgot. Let me look it up. I think it's is it Alan's on Fire? Maybe it's Death of an Idiot Blues.
Death of an Idiot Blues is and this brings me to what I was
Yes.
going to say.
That's
so-
the one with the blues thing at the end.
Yes.
Death of an okay. Not only that,
That
but Death in
Malachor ripped
the beginning with the do no no no. I believe they have layered. You can hear it. It's very hard to hear acoustic guitar.
On that song?
Yes, like I believe either that one or another song. There is a layer of acoustic guitar that sounds really. You have to really kind of strain yourself a little bit to hear it. The only reason I know that is because I've heard it before, and it's like a thing that classic rock bands used to do a lot.
Yeah, right.
It's not like on top of it. It's buried in the mix, but fuck, it just like adds that like complexity to it. And like this album was also produced by the Slayer hippie.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Like, which shows you how fucking talented that kid was at the time. He was like 20, 21, 22.
Well, and on this record, like along with the bluesy vibe in a lot of the music, I mean, Jerry's vocals on this are amazing. He's got so much soul. I mean, this motherfucker is belting, and it really is. You hear it, and again, it's like the old Crossroads thing. It's like, damn, did these evil motherfuckers like sell their fucking souls so they can make great punk music forever and keep getting better,
yeah,
and keep evolving, but almost like they're. It's you know what it's like. I never thought of this before. It's
Metallica?
like Poison Idea discovered themselves in a past life when they made this record. Like Feel the Darkness is the record that Poison Idea was before they died and came back as Pick Your King.
Yeah. And then
the cyclical evolution of this group.
70s or something.
Yeah, back in the 70s, yeah. Or before that even.
Well, so if you haven't heard Feel the Darkness, you know what? I'll probably put a Spotify playlist. What we should do after is I'm going to include a Spotify playlist of like our favorite really fucking good Poison Idea songs throughout their entire catalog.
Just going to be like,
part.
half their discography.
Yeah, it's just going to be.
And we're going to
we'll do 20 songs. I'll do like 20 or so songs. I think a lot of them we'll all agree on.
pick, our top whatever.
Our top songs that we like.
I'm going to put some tracks from the new Bad Bunny record on there, too, just because it's good.
Just to get that out there, maybe get it into some ears for some people who wouldn't normally check that out.
Yeah, we're going to interview him next week about Poison Idea.
Yeah.
See what is his
Mr. Bad Bunny,
yeah.
What's your favorite Poison Idea record?
Mr. Bad Bunny.
But yeah, Feel the Darkness, like I said, it's their triumph. It's them reborn. The Poison Idea that existed in a past life comes roaring back from the grave with new guitar solos to boot. And again, I can't hit the level of soulfulness in his vocals is really remarkable. And again,
he has a big range.
The guitar playing
I mean,
too.
it's from the
just
beginning where he's
you feel the soul in the guitar playing.
Yeah.
The beginning where he's whoa, that whoa-ohs.
Oh yeah,
and then
Classic
just like
bomb,
and then hearing him at the end being like, "Feel the darkness," like
the vocals on
so fucking wild. Like
on Death of an Idiot Blues when he's just screaming. I mean, dude, that goes back to the sort of Freudian thing that I quoted earlier from Record Collectors. I mean, Death of an Idiot Blues, and that's the one with the Thanks Mom, Thanks Dad thing too, right?
Yeah, so
I mean, he sounds like an overgrown baby that is panicking and freaking out.
I'll see you in hell.
But at the beginning of the song, in the fast part, when he's just shrieking in that song and like babbling, it is like child confronted with the raw horror of existence. And that's, as I said earlier, is kind of what all of their stuff is a little bit like. Yeah. Their stuff is either like that or more so it's like someone who's been confronted with that and is still feeling the pain of it but has resigned themselves to it on some level. It's like on Death of an Idiot Blues when he does that, it's like it breaks through again, and once again he no longer knows how to cope with it. And you get that little outburst there, but then they get their composure back together and they play the guitar solos. And
because right after Death of an Idiot Blues, I believe
Alan's on Fire. I think
Taken by Taken by Surprise.
Taken by Surprise, which is the most cock rockinest fucking Jim Morrison shit on this whole record.
Yeah.
Actually, I was gonna say, like, if you just look at the track list,
it
is
so
straight up just
perfect.
like hit after hit.
And it's done so well, and I think, like, yeah, because like Death of an Idiot Blues is like you said, it's like he's like kicking and screaming. It's just
Yes.
It's like he's like just so like out of it compared, and then like
It's a
the
rough-
next song.
But then he's
it's
also
for-
got like cool like there's like a spoken word part on that song. Where
that
he's like,
kicking and
and then the
screaming part,
boy died. He was
just
only
a boy.
17.
That song is like a rupture in it, like
Yeah.
where it just goes back to the sort of
Shows you how talented they
frantically
are. I'll say
miserable
this.
spiritual core of the band.
If that band Sore Throat, like they were notorious, like they would shit on all the U.S. bands. I think Poison Idea was like the one band that they were like, oh no, these guys are sick.
Is that a thing?
I mean, I remember when after Poison Idea died, like I think somebody from Sore Throat, they like posted this. It was like, because there's that one song, it's like Poison Idea, No Handle Beer
Oh, really?
by Sore Throat, but they were like, R.I.P. Pig Champion.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
I mean, they were the kings of punk. Also, I'm guessing Pig Champion liked Sore Throat, probably.
Oh, I mean, he
'Cause,
was,
yeah.
So I think we can not maybe I don't want to say we're wrapping up right now, but like I think this is where
We're getting pretty close.
'cause I think
You're talking about in relation to
terms
like
of
the
the
records
discography.
after,
Right.
because
yeah.
like
They
we
never-
must burn and like the other stuff.
Blank,
we could maybe.
Blackout Vacant. There's some pretty good songs.
I
on
will
that
say
one.
I'll say this: maybe we
We're
should
talking over ourselves a
revisit.
lot. Let's not
We
do
should
that.
have another episode, part 2. But I wanted to kind of get.
I
in-
looked it up. Just one more thing.
Yeah.
I know we're leaving it as a
Sorry.
footnote, kind of. I looked up when that Learning to Scream 7-inch came out.
Yeah.
It was 1998, and
Yeah.
let's do it after.
That was
'cause it is
with
great.
That
yeah.
is with the original lineup again,
Yes,
I
it
believe.
is still, yeah.
I remember Jerry talking about that. Okay, so what I want to get to, and this is going to be this kind of an episode is something we're going to do every now and again for different bands. I believe the next one that I want to do it on is going to be Gizm, who tangentially kind of related to Poison Idea in the sense that Poison Idea covered a couple of their songs. They were, I
And
believe,
also-
fans of Gizm.
Actually, if you think about Gizm, very organically changed their sound. I don't think they
Yes.
were, that's not. I'm sure they weren't like, okay, now we're gonna do Iron Maiden.
yeah, that
and-
was always kind of in
Yeah.
there, and they really just coax it out. In like
I think
different
Gizm
ways.
it's a little bit different because I think Sakivi in particular had a desire to
Sakavi?
sort of
Sakivi?
whatever, dog.
And then Randy Uchida was like going off too.
I think Gizm in a way that Poison Idea probably didn't. Gizm deliberately wanted to fuck with people.
Yes.
So I think that you have to factor that in when you look at them
Yes.
too.
That's
That
a different
he was a
conversation.
troll. He was
But I
he was a
think-
provocateur in a way that I don't think Poison Idea were.
No,
no,
not
way.
at all.
Yeah.
So I would say a question that I want to that I think is interesting to talk about is the bigger legacy of the music of Poison Idea, and what we think that their like general musical contribution to the punk landscape is. And I think for me, I would say it's proving that you can be like adding that musicality while retaining the edge and like power of the original hardcore punk scene from like the early 80s, because there are few. I think that's a thing we maybe take for granted now, but that wasn't a thing back in the day. Like I don't think, and if thinking of like the mid 80s, which is kind of like a low point for punk. There's a couple times in the last 40 years where it's like, ooh, this is a low point, this is a low point. I think like 85, 86 is a big low point. And I think that's when like thrash metal's really big.
the crossover.
in-
So you
in-
got crossover, but
New York-
crossover isn't necessarily the same.
New York City was doing well at that point, and hardcore in Japan was doing really well. But I mean, to go back to American hardcore, Stephen Blush cites 1986 as the year that, in his view, as someone who was involved early on, hardcore died in '86.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
His
it's
view.
fair to say that was the first wave.
First wave was certainly done.
First
by
wave
then.
is
fucking SSD
kaput.
was trying to sound like AC/DC or
AC/DC.
whatever in the
Yeah.
flying fuck they were trying to do.
Or
But then
Van
you
Halen
have
or
these new
something.
bands. You have like you have the Cro-Mags.
Yeah. Warzone, etc.
Youth of Today, is that
Youth of Today first one was
Well, technically, Cro-Mags is like because Age of Coral came out in '86, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I believe so.
and they started before that. So I mean,
Yeah.
I would, and this is a tangent, but a group like them, I would probably classify as sort of a transitional group.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Agnostic Front, too. I think
Agnostic
that's when they.
Front-
I mean,
Agnostic-
they were around in the early '80s, but
Yeah.
that was when
again,
they were
New York
kind
City,
of like
New York City was a whole different story.
yeah. But and I'm trying to think of others. So yeah, I think they, but
By '86,
I love Age of Quarrel. I was actually listening to it yesterday. I listened to it yesterday.
The best. We got to do a Cro-Mags deep dive at
And-
some point.
oh yeah,
that would
absolutely.
be interesting for me because I am not familiar with.
I got a
Cro-Mags
lot to
at
say
all.
about
Age
the
of Quarrel
Mags,
is
baby.
Such a fucking good album, man. It's
Go
a
off
ripper.
about the Mags.
But at the end of the day, like if I put up Kings of Punk versus obviously the big glaring difference between those two bands is one band has a near flawless and fantastic discography, and the other
so
band
does the other one.
You know what? Some may say that, but a lot of people would say they have one good album and a bunch
A
of
whole bunch of-
bullshit.
Nah, dude.
Varying bullshit.
Yo, Alpha Omega is sick, dude. It's got
Some
that
people
song.
like Best Wishes and stuff like that. Like, I don't know.
Best Wishes is fine. Alpha Omega has the song Eyes of Tomorrow where Harley raps at the beginning and there's record scratching. And let me
Okay.
tell you, that song slaps.
Best Wishes is the one that's like a bootleg
Metal.
Judas Priest kind of thing, right?
That's
No, it's way thrashier than that. That's the one
Yeah.
without
Okay.
John Joseph.
Oh,
I've heard it's like the issue with that one is that the songs are too long. They get maybe
Yeah,
like
they're
a
too long.
Metallica
Metallica
syndrome.
on everybody's
influence.
asses.
I actually like, and we got to save this for the Cro-Mags episode. I like Alpha Omega more than I like Best Wishes.
Well, that'll be interesting for me and Tim to be able to listen to that and give it kind of like.
For me to listen to
Fresh
a
ears.
Cro-Mags record, period,
Yeah.
really is that's new for me.
But my point being, Cro-Mags in '86 does not have the musicality, the technicality, and the kind of earworminess that.
Poison Idea
Poison
probably already
Idea
had
does.
at that point.
I mean,
In
obviously,
'86,
obviously, you could say, yeah, well, Poison Idea has been a band for longer, but it's like talk about like to compare them to another band, to other bands like a Gangrene or something like that. Like, I don't think they're nearly as catchy. Gangrene isn't nearly as catchy.
Gangrene is not as good
You
as
know,
Poison Idea.
no way.
Well, I mean,
Like,
that's
you
like
know what
not
I mean?
even
Like,
serious.
yeah.
That's not even a comparison.
So they were able to combine like the rawness of the hardcore punk scene that they came from.
Closest
with-
Boston band you can compare to PI is easy. Jerry's Kids.
Jerry's
I'd
Kids,
say.
yeah. Yeah, just they were able to. I think they were able to capture the raw sound,
I would
the
say if
raw
the-
energy, and then infuse it with like genuine like musicality and genuine like expressions. And I think that's something that we like I said, we take for granted, but like maybe we take for granted now, but like I don't know, no one else was really doing that kind of thing.
No.
I would just want to say, if there was a Boston Poison Idea, I would actually submit that's Slapshot, because Slapshot is another band that
Oh,
kept doing the
that's
same
true.
thing
Damn.
forever.
That is a really good call. on
That is straight edge Poison Idea. We
Yeah.
could do Slapshot episode
That would
too.
be fun.
I want
I'd
to talk
be
about the
down for
episode,
that.
the episode or the album that Steve Albini produced. That I think I'm the only person on the face of the planet who actually likes it.
Is that Blast Furnace or
No, it was around the same time though. They did one called Unconsciousness. That's pretty fun. I think.
I mean, that name
that's
alone
wild
says
that
it all, I
Steve
think.
Albini produced something for them. Okay.
Yeah, him and Choke probably got along. Honestly,
I
they
bet.
sound like they have similar personalities.
Well, shit.
What
I
do
mean,
you-
they were both around back in the day too, in the '80s.
Yeah.
So they were
Yeah.
probably like, "Oh
Yep.
yeah, like you play with these guys." Probably on some shit like that.
Played with those guys. Yeah, they were assholes. I hated them. Hey, me too. Fuck them.
Let's so what would you guys say is like the legacy of Poison Idea in a musical sense? Or you could even
You can
say
go first, Tim.
if
I got
there's another sense
I
you
think
want to say.
maybe 2 points I'd bring up is from I feel like Poison Idea they kind of strike me as like it's like a musician's band like on some like, oh, that's your favorite band's favorite band kind of shit.
Yeah, like a favorite comedians.
I would
Your
agree with that,
comedian's
yeah.
You know?
But for
comedian
punk
thing,
guys specifically,
Yeah, exactly.
that would actually tie in with where I was going to go with this.
And then
Yeah, go on.
The other thing, I was watching. There's that trailer for like that Poison Idea documentary on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is even a thing or whatnot, but they interviewed the guy from the Malvins, and he was King Buzzo, and he said he was like, "Yeah, Poison Idea, like back in the day, that was like some, that was some like heavy shit. Like he was like that. They actually, brought the fear back into punk."
Yes,
like with what
I
they were
watched that
doing
earlier today too. Yeah,
and I feel like that's like, that sounds about right because I don't know, there's like it's like in a weird way, like I feel like they're kind of like unhinged, but or I don't know, it's just like very fringe.
Yes, yeah, that was where I was going to go with this because as I've touched on, this band to me, their sound and their ethos speaks both to the horror of discovering the emptiness that's at the core of all of our beings, the inescapable reality that life is meaningless. That's very much there, and that's been confronted by all kinds of art, and even within the realm of punk by many different groups. The thing about these guys is the way they confronted it and dealt with it. Again, in contrast to someone like a Darby Crash or a Sid Vicious, they didn't. Those guys sort of took that and integrated it or made it central to the commodity that they made themselves as sort of these avatars of self-destruction, right? They had an exhibitionist bent that resulted in them dying very, very young, or with other similar guys breaking up very, very early. Poison Idea, you don't have that. Poison Idea was integrated more fully. They knew what they were playing with. I don't know if a Sid Vicious or a Darby Crash did. For them, they were playing with fire without fully knowing, what kind of Faustian bargain they were signing up for. And it ended up being integrated into sort of this exhibitionist persona that they have. And that's why those guys are legends, and you get people who follow them like they're cult leaders. And so on and so forth. And Jim Morrison, you can even go back to him as an example of this sort of this Dionysian avatar, whatever. And he paid dearly for it because that's the way it goes. He integrated it into his being without confronting it and reconciling himself with it, with that emptiness, nihilism, whatever you want to call it. Poison Idea integrated it into themselves in a way deeper way, and because they don't have that exhibitionist bent, they don't have these people. They're not big personalities in that way. Like Pig Champion became an icon of sorts, but ultimately, like, this is not that sort of like legendary rock star band. This whole time we haven't shared any like crazy Poison Idea stories. I know there's some funny ones about Pig selling his records to buy sheet pizzas and stuff, but they're not that kind of band. And to the point I started on at the beginning of the episode, this was not like the band that grabbed me when I got into punk, because as a little kid I was looking for the bands that had a lot of mythology surrounding them. So this isn't a band that has that. This is never going to be like the 101 punk band that everyone hears about and is excited by the mythology of it and wants to follow it or whatever. This is a band by and for diehards. These are people. This is a band by and for people who have discovered this music that deals with these themes and these elements and have kind of already made the decision that this is going to be their lives. Like, I don't think casual punk fans are really like on about Poison Idea, because to really get this band, you have to, at some point, knowingly or not, made that jump of knowing that this kind of shit is your kind of shit, and you will probably be doing it for a long time.
Yeah. And you know what?
And so I would say that their degree of influence on music or legacy in that regard may be somewhat limited, because it is by and for the diehards. But that makes the legacy all the more important, because there's only so many bands like that.
Yeah.
I would say, and I whenever I hear a band that sounds like Poison Idea, or you can just be like, oh,
these guys
they sound like Poison Idea. They're definitely or maybe, you know what? They're one of those bands where it's like, I don't think you could really sound like Poison Idea, but you could be influenced by Poison Idea, and like the people that know, they fucking know. They're like, oh yeah, this band They like Poison Idea.
You know that
yeah,
they know.
fucking,
Yes, yeah.
They fucking like this
It's
shit.
another diehard
like,
there.
And I think that is kind of like and I think not to like again suck our own dicks as I mentioned earlier in the episode, talking about like the Leaking Head demo and like while we're doing that, like we're not trying to be, and I don't really want any of my bands to be like, yeah, we're like this band. We play this kind of stuff. Yeah, we're kind of like, Swedish death metal. Like,
I will say
we're by the numbers.
We're
not
like Poison Idea in that, and I don't want to sound too negative here. In a way, I have resigned myself to playing hardcore music. I see it in many ways as a bit of a dead end. There are many other styles of music I could do that would get me more fame and fortune. Even in terms of punk, there's things I could do that could get me more. But ultimately,
metal.
I have been left with no choice but to confront the fact that this is the music I love playing, and it's also the music I'm very, very good at playing. So
yeah.
I gotta groove on the power, man. I gotta feel the darkness. I gotta just let that flow through me and keep going, just like these guys did. The fact that they didn't die is hugely inspirational to a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
They were fat as shit.
I mean, especially the fact that Pig Champion even made it to he made it to 2006, like that.
Yeah.
Dude was probably fucking like.
He weighed 400 pounds. He weighed 400 pounds at one
that's
point.
insane.
Yeah,
it's not even that big.
I mean, that's what I love. It's cool to see a crazy hardcore band, super influential. Probably ate a ton of bags of candy, drank so much beer. That kind of shit is inspiring to me, being a fucking slob myself.
It's kind of like Metallica, where it's like, oh, wow, these idiots can do it.
Yeah.
So can I.
I can eat a whole...
I practice once a week. Unlike Lars.
Do you want me to do... that is too much genetic stock beat.
I would say delete that.
I would delete that if I were you.
Yeah, so I guess, you know what? That's Poison Idea.
Classic band.
We'll do probably another dive with some of their stuff that maybe we're all generally... I'm not as familiar with their complete discography, but that's because they really have a ton of stuff.
They have so
more
much.
than almost any other band from the 80s that, again...
because they actually stuck around and did shit in the 90s, right?
And that's what's cool. That's what's good. I like a band that has a decent amount of... It doesn't have to be like a 20 album kind of thing. That's a little bit too much. But they are proof that you can put out multiple records as a hardcore band and still be fucking incredible. Because a thing that I often hear is don't put out too much material and then break up. It's like, nah, fuck that. If you're fucking able to advance and influence and change yourself in a positive way, then keep fucking putting out music. But just if you're gonna be hardcore, keep it fucking hardcore. So
I'm gonna close with a few lines from Feel the Darkness that I think are appropriate. The whip cracks, it stops, but we're not through. Tonight the steel shines just for you. From the fire into the water, cold nighttime makes my blood get hotter. You started with nothing, but you ended up with less. Feel the darkness.
That's perfect. Any final words, Tim's? Tim?
No, I don't think I can add anything more to that. No.
Those were my final words, dumbass.
I said Tim. I asked Tim.
We just want to get back to watching the Lars Ulrich videos on YouTube.
Want to get back to Metallica.
I need to see Lars get shown up by a 16-year-old child on drum kit. Play Blackened better than he ever could.
Well, that's about it. You can listen to us,
on Spotify now.
Spotify now, and now you probably are listening to us on Spotify.
And
maybe
we will get that Poison Idea Spotify playlist up as soon as we can.
Check in the episode description for that, and follow us on. We'll probably have maybe an Instagram or something like that. Keep an eye out.
We're gonna be on Queeby.
Yeah, we'll be on Queeby. Me and Tim, we have. If you want to follow us,
I'm on Tinder also.
You can follow
us on Tinder.
You can follow the Faith and Failure page. That's the label I run. It's faith.infailure on Instagram, and we have our our other band, Hallucination Realized, where we do a lot of stuff that's just Hallucination Realized on Instagram. It's on Facebook too. We'll probably do I'm not going to fucking do it, but someone's going to do an Instagram account for it. I have 3 already. I can't do any more.
Also, just going to do a shout out for another band we do, Holy Water. We're on Instagram,
Yep.
Holy Water Grinders.
Yep.
On Instagram.
So we got a lot of shit.
Fuck it, I'll do it too. I have a band called Moir that's going to have a demo out soon. We got a Bandcamp page. I think it's moirrochester.bandcamp.
Yeah, there's like
I could be wrong.
8 Moirs.
Hopefully you get the right one.
There's
I think
8
it's
more.
moirrochester.bandcamp.com.
Yeah, there's 8 more.
When the demo comes out, I'll be sure to run my mouth about it on here again and have my shit together.
We'll probably premiere a track or something like that.
I got some other bands I can promote too, but I won't because we don't have an Instagram.
Holy
for
Water.
It. No,
or not Holy Water. We just fentanyl tap water, which is good. Put in that split out. It's gonna be fentanyl tap water
and Fat Ash from Syracuse. Gonna be a good split.
Gonna be good. So, thanks for listening. Check out some, just check out fucking punk music, and don't stop listening to it. Don't be a fucking poser. Don't be like one of those guys. I'm older now. I can't listen to punk.
I can only listen to Billy Joel.
I listened to. I actually just Miley Cyrus is really cool. Actually, did you know that?
Actually, you should try listening to her Metallica cover record.
I like the parquet courts.
Hey, I like parquet courts. All right, bye guys.